hell, we'll just get it out of the way now. Trump, I mean, this, maybe the single biggest winner and the best story of this election other than Trump has to be someone who's a huge inspiration to me that I've had the opportunity to talk to in private, to work with in a limited capacity, is Scott Presler. Scott Presler may single-handedly have won Pennsylvania and set a roadmap to win states all across this country, swing states. No one put more time and energy in than Scott Presler. He first came on my radar probably back in 2022, where he did something that I thought was absolutely brilliant. He was taking conservatives into cities like San Francisco. He was taking conservatives in there and cleaning up garbage on the streets. And what it was showing was, they talk, we do. We're not these horrible monsters. We'll come in, we'll talk to you about politics and stuff. Here's an area where our ideology is barely allowed, and yet here we are helping the community. It was a brilliant move. And then he got very tactical around 2023. He was pushing for voter registration and stuff. And I know what he did. I could see his thought process. He said, listen, it's too broad of a scope for one person like him to handle that all across the country. So what he realized was, I need to focus on one state. And what is the most important state? There's Pennsylvania, because it's the largest swing state. And I think that he probably talked to a lot of people and looked and said, we could win Pennsylvania. These are the metrics we need to hit. And I'll be damned if he didn't do it. He was a one-man machine. He's traveling everywhere around the state. He's traveling to small towns. He's traveling to the city. He's going to nursing homes. He's going to the Amish community. He's going to colleges. And his character is impeccable for that sort of work. He is the most optimistic, likable person in the world. Even when people are yelling at him, talking shit, he has a smile on his face. Working over and over and over. Getting shunned by Ronan McDaniel and the RNC, but still working over and over and over and over. And it paid off. Through sheer will, one individual probably changed thousands upon thousands of votes in the most important swing state. And that's not hyperbole. He is absolutely brilliant and deserves all of the accolades. If he never does anything political again, he is a legend. He is an absolute legend. For someone who doesn't have huge connections to the business world, to the political world, he just said through his own sheer will, I'm going to do this. I don't think that I could think of a more impressive political story. But he's not done. He's like, great, awesome. We won Pennsylvania. We're going to make it more red. He moved to Pennsylvania. He bought a home in Pennsylvania. He's going to do more in Pennsylvania. Now he's like, we're going to New Jersey. We're going to change it. This is the exact type of person you need to actually have a political movement. It's easy, and I'll even lump myself in this category. It's easy to come here and talk to people and sit in a comfortable chair and say shit. It's hard to get out there every day and pound the pavement like that. That's a guy that's doing the hard work that most people talk about needing done, but that are unwilling to do it. Myself included. And so far, what's been Scott Presler's reward? Well, he's getting some recognition now. He had to, people had to put up a GoFundMe for him to get fucking tires for his car. Because he was driving so much, his tires became bald. So whatever stories are negative, maybe Scott Presler 2 years from now, punch a baby in the face or some shit. I don't know. But in this moment in time right now, that man is an incredible inspiration to me and tens of, not hundreds of thousands of people around this state. I can't speak highly enough, and he has my vote, other than Donald Trump himself, as the biggest winner in this election. He showed that an individual that's willing to put their nose to the grindstone can actually make a difference culturally and politically. And it's one of the most inspiring, even if you're a lefty, you might hate that he worked to cause a loss for you. But it's an inspiring story of what one person could do. Even when he doesn't have the mechanisms behind his back. He just went it alone, so God bless Scott Presler. I can't say enough positive things about him. To me, it is the best story of the election, other than the victory of Donald Trump. So I put him up there right beside Trump as biggest winner in the election. So the next winner, a specific person, but also a category of people, another huge winner, in a different way, but Joe Rogan and podcasts. What an incredible, incredible win for him in this election. As big as Joe Rogan was, he is literally a kingmaker now. Even the Democratic Party at this point is like, how do we get a Joe Rogan? Of course, the irony is they had a Joe Rogan and they became so fucking unlikable and treated him like trash that now he's a Trump guy. Any Democrat that's worth their salt that's going to try to be a figure on the national stage will now have to go on Joe Rogan. Just like Republicans have always thought, well, you got to do interviews with the New York Times, you got to go on 60 Minutes, you got to go on with Meet the Press. That's what Joe Rogan is now. Podcasts in general are supplanting the mainstream media. Telling a story and being able to have a 2-hour long-form conversation is going to supplant 10-minute sound bites on Meet the Press. One, because no one trusts the mainstream media anymore. They've shot all their credibility. But second, because people are more interested in the storytelling and the being able to communicate as an individual in a conversation than they are sound bites. Now, there's some downside to that. Will people that run podcasts be as adversarial as the press is supposed to be? Probably not. But then again, the press was only adversarial to the Republicans that they didn't like. They kissed the ass of the Democrats. So, interesting sort of development. So you see people like Theo Vaughn and a litany of others, even people like Charlemagne the God. But Joe Rogan specifically, but sort of the podcast format in general, and to a lesser degree, streamers. Andrew Schultz, another great example. I knew I was forgetting someone. Even platforms like here are going to start to become more important. It's not quite the same as the podcast format, but particularly on the right, what people are going to see, and it's something that I'm really focused on pushing for the next 2 years, is getting people in the Republican Party with influence, either political influence or financial influence, to work in tandem with streamers. It doesn't have to be me, but streamers like me that are pushing a conservative message or a Republican message. It is a wave of the future. Fox News is going to be less important than Joe Rogan for Republicans. Shows like mine, I'm not saying me, but a show that does something like mine is going to be as important as talk radio used to be. No one will be Rush, don't get it twisted. But as a whole, that's the way things are trending, particularly with younger generations. And Republicans need to do a good job of understanding we need to put resources into this. Again, you're like, yeah, no shit, Rob, you're just trying to get money. Of course I'll take money. But no, that's not what I'm doing. I'm saying it doesn't have to be me. Build up a bench of people that are capable of doing this. But I am going to try to be one of those people, and I'm going to try to be instrumental in facilitating that. So, podcast Joe Rogan. Hell, we'll just get it out of the way now. Trump, I mean, Scott Pressler's an amazing story, but the biggest winner is clearly Trump. Not only because he's going to be president, because it's literally the greatest comeback story. He literally survived 2 fucking assassination attempts. His ear was hit by a bullet. They've ruined this man's life. Lawfare after lawfare after lawfare after lawfare after lawfare, screwing his entire family up, his family name, going after anyone that's ever been favorable to him. Every disadvantage in the world, and he fucking won. What more is there to say? He has, in some ways, he still keeps some of his shoot from the hip personality, but he's become more sophisticated. He understands now that maybe he doesn't have to do everything. He could send a J.D. Vance out to certain areas. He could send a Vivek Ramaswamy. He could send an RFK. I think that bodes better for his chances to have a successful presidency. I think that the people so far that he's surrounded himself with in the campaign are much better than the people at this term in 2016. There's questions. Mike Pompeo, boo! Hopefully the people surrounding Trump are in his ear. Like, I think Trump still has, people say he's low energy and shit now. The guy's, what do you do, 80-something events? He's speaking till 2 a.m. at a rally the day before the election. Now, he didn't do everything great. Thought his speech at the RNC got a little meandering in the second half of it. Thought his debate performance wasn't that great. But he fucking won. And he won huge. Right behind Trump, someone who is skyrocketed, has to be J.D. Vance. Now, be honest with yourself. How much did you really know of J.D. Vance before he was picked as VP? How much did you really know? I knew he was a senator. I knew he wrote Hillbilly Elegy. I knew a little about him, but not an incredible amount. And most people barely knew that, if they knew that. Now, I knew enough through looking in to J.D. Vance when he was picked as VP to be very excited. I understand but he's connected to Peter Thiel and all of this stuff. But it was obvious he was a very intelligent guy, and he was at least espousing the messages of populism and sort of a MAGA type agenda, which was far better than a Mike Pence. Mike Pence was a pick out of necessity because Trump was this wild card, this cowboy, so you needed someone to make traditional conservatives feel like there was some stability there. This time, that's not what he needed. He needed someone that could, if Trump's not there, would be a bulwark to keep pushing through that agenda and to work in tandem with Trump in the process of getting elected and of governing, where he's pushing for the same things in a different way. So he's more of a traditionally skilled orator. He's not, Trump's a great orator. He's very charismatic. He's very entertaining. He's great at telling his story. But J.D. Vance is more analytic. And he was smeared as weird. I remember, it was unbelievable. The narrative that people bought that was just put out there by the Democrats in the mainstream media, but I repeat myself, it was that this weird narrative, every panel I was on, everyone's like, but you have to admit, he picked wrong. There was a reason that it came on from the DNC on high to call him weird, because they were afraid of, the DNC was afraid of J.D. Vance. They knew what he represented. Tim Walz is a weird dude. Then all of a sudden you see J.D. Vance. I mean, it was amazing. I don't know how to say it. I called this shit to the T. I said, you might disagree with this take of it. I said, before the debate, I said, I think Kamala Harris will outperform Donald Trump tonight. I don't think either will do particularly well, but I think Kamala Harris will win. To me, that's exactly what happened. But then going into the Vance-Walz debate, I was like, Vance is going to fucking kill it. And the Democrats were putting out this, J.D. Vance is afraid to debate Tim Walz. Dude, I saw right through that bullshit. As someone who debated in college, I could listen to J.D. Vance talk for 5 minutes this guy's a fucking debater. This guy knows how to talk. He knows how to come across as intelligent and likable and not smug. You could see it. Right out of the gate, I could see it. It was fucking impressive dude. And the more he's been out there, the more he's shown it. I think there's a case to be made that J.D. Vance is the most impactful vice president pick in my lifetime. At least up until this point, as to helping get elected. After we broke through the initial, he said he had sex with the couch and he's weird and blah, blah. After we broke through that, name one thing that Vance didn't do that was a boon to the Trump ticket. His performance on Joe Rogan, fantastic. His debate performance, probably the most important VP debate performance, at least in the last 50 years. Absolutely killed it. Every time he goes on mainstream news, crushes it. Every single time. And he does so in a way that's likable. He's not smugly winning the debate. He was so good in the VP debate that the central attack against him and Donald Trump was that they're these Nazis like Hitler. And perceptually, when you looked at the body language, Walz is sitting there the whole time, nodding his head, agreeing with Vance. The last winner, does anyone have a guess? Who's the last winner? Does anyone have a guess? It appears might be an in-betweener, yeah. Normal people, Tulsi Gabbard. I forgot to mention Tulsi. She's a winner. RFK, I didn't mention him. He's a winner. Oh, someone got it. Someone got it. No, it's not Shank. It's Jesus. I mean, Jesus is always a winner. It's not Alex Jones. Someone already got it. The winner is me. I'm going to take a victory lap. This is what I'm going to do. I'm a fucking winner. Of course America's a winner. But I win. I fucking win. That's right. And I'm on the very last winner of this election. And that's me. I'm a fucking winner. Why am I a winner? Because I'll go through all the reasons. I'm a loser in the sense that I predicted Trump would lose. Now, I have my reasons. I intentionally convinced myself to always be pessimistic with my mind and optimistic with my feet. So I'm perpetually in a state of, we have to work harder or we're not going to win. Because that's how I fucking operate. So that's one. But I'm not using that as a cop-out. I did think the corruption would be too much. So I lose on that. Happy to lose that, though. Happy to be wrong about this prediction. Just like I'm sure Andrew Wilson, who owes Destiny $2,000, is happy to pay that money because he'd rather have Trump win than have that $2,000. So that's one. But I've been right on so much. So I think I'm a winner because I put a lot of time and energy in. I hope that it made, at least, regardless if it made a difference or not, at least the side that I was advocating for won. And that's a huge relief, and it makes me feel very good. And to be quite honest, and it sounds a little braggadocious, I've had people message me and say, hey man, I wasn't going to vote until I heard you. And I've had people reach out to me and say, I was a lefty, and then I got disenfranchised with some of these radical lefties like Destiny, and I heard you debate them, and I was like, wow, you sound impressive, and that helped there. So, for those reasons, I think I'm a winner. But I also think I'm a winner because I think that my eye for strategy was remarkably spot on. I was right about the J.D. Vance shit. I was right about them going to remove Biden. I was right about what Trump should have said in his debate, which J.D. Vance then proved correct. I was right about what the core issues of this election were. And I think I was crushing the debates I was in. That's true, I'm not wrong yet. He hasn't been sworn in. But I'll be fair and say I didn't think he would win the election.